What if I told you that overthinking is not intelligence, but a lack of discipline? That the top 1% of thinkers don't think more than you, they think less, but with absolute precision. The Stoics understood that a restless mind is a weak mind, and that mastery of thought is mastery of life. This is not motivation. This is mental reprogramming. The Stoics believed that overthinking is the mind's attempt to control what it was never meant to control, and Epictetus made this clear when he said that people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them, which means the endless loops in your head are not signs of depth but symptoms of misdirected attention. The top 1% think differently because they draw a ruthless line between what is within their control and what is not, and once that line is drawn, mental noise begins to die. Marcus Aurelius trained his mind daily to return to the present moment, reminding himself that the past is untouchable and the future imaginary, and that only the now deserves thought, because overthinking is simply the act of living everywhere except where your feet are planted. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and this is the core of overthinking, rehearsing pain that may never arrive, arguing battles that may never be fought, and draining energy on illusions instead of action. The Stoic mind is trained to ask one brutal question whenever thought spirals begin: is this useful? Because thoughts that do not lead to action, virtue, or clarity are mental parasites. The top 1% do not silence the mind by force, they starve it by refusing to feed unnecessary narratives, and instead of asking what if, they ask what now, shifting their attention from speculation to execution. Stoicism teaches that clarity is born from subtraction, not addition, and that a disciplined life, early rising, physical training, deliberate discomfort, and structured routines, naturally quiets the mind because chaos cannot survive inside order. Overthinking thrives in idle minds, but the Stoic fills his day with purposeful effort, leaving no room for useless rumination. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you always have the option of having no opinion, and this single idea alone dismantles anxiety, because most overthinking comes from compulsive judgment, labeling, interpreting, assuming, when reality itself requires none of it. The elite thinker observes without immediately reacting, understanding that emotional distance is not coldness but clarity, and that urgency is the enemy of wisdom. Stoicism trains you to delay mental reactions, to let thoughts pass like clouds rather than chasing each one as if it carries truth. The mind of the 1% is not empty, but ordered, not silent but selective. They accept uncertainty instead of wrestling it, knowing that the desire for absolute certainty is what drives mental exhaustion. Seneca advised rehearsing adversity briefly, then releasing it, because preparation is wisdom but obsession is self-harm. The Stoic mind understands that thinking is a tool, not an identity, and once a thought has served its function, it is dismissed without attachment. Over time, this discipline rewires the brain itself, replacing mental chaos with internal authority. You stop asking for reassurance from the future, stop seeking validation from imagined outcomes, and begin living from principle instead of impulse. This is how the Stoics trained resilience, by aligning thought with reality, effort with values, and emotion with reason. The top 1% are not free from fear or doubt, they are free from indulgence in them. They do not negotiate with intrusive thoughts, they outgrow them. They act despite uncertainty, trust the process of virtue, and accept results without self-betrayal. In this way, overthinking dissolves not because you fight it, but because your life becomes so intentional that useless thought has nowhere left to hide.